Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 1961 DeBerti Ford Econoline shop rod. Now this is a fully customised vehicle. In fact, it was customised in only 90 days, which is incredible given the amount of detail and effort that has clearly gone into it. But granted, it's not the standard car in any way, shape or form outside of the general looks. As it's now got a 6-speed automatic gearbox, whereas the original most came with a 4-speed manual. It's got a race chassis as well as air suspension. And to top it all off, it's had a new interior, which as you can see has been pretty much stripped right the way back. Even the seats look extremely thin and lightweight. Surprisingly, it is right-hand drive despite it being an American-only car. But yeah, everything has been pretty much overhauled with it, especially the interior, which as you can see is you've got flame, pedals. You've got the gear shifter there with a top hat and some kind of creature there or something I can see. Then you can change the air suspension there with those little buttons. Then you've got your speedometer, your rev counter and the like up front. So yeah, quite sparse but very functional. And then to top it all off, you've got the engine slap bang in the middle of the car, right behind the driver and the passenger, and then another passenger seat right there. Doubt that'd be all that comfortable given you've got no real place to put your legs, but yeah, still that is really rather inventive kind of way to do this vehicle, because if it had been where the engine normally was, then this would not handle it as well as it does. But yeah, that engine is a 5-litre supercharged Coyote V8 engine, producing 850 horsepower and 766 pounds-feet of torque, all going through the rear wheels only. And that 6-speed automatic gearbox is quite quick shifting, to be honest, for a what is obviously a customizable job. And then the rear door's still open. Imagine that's your fuel tank there. And yeah, as you can see, pretty sparse but nicely accompanied regardless. Not too much in the way of bare metal showing or anything like that. And it's just overall in terms of the paint job as well, I kind of like it. You've got the cogs in the flames, and then you got the DeBerti shop rod logo up there. And yeah, it just looks all really rather nice. It's not overly done, but it's not underdone either. And then obviously you've got side exhausts either side, and then new rims, new brakes, new tyres to go along with that air suspension. So yeah, but nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. Right, so here we are at its natural habitat, the drag strip. So let's see what it can do before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll go around the track. So yeah, this is actually a pretty good launching car for something that has all of that power going through only the rear wheels. As you can see, it's pretty high revving as well for a V8, which typically V8s don't rev that high, especially the ones of this size. But yeah, that's nearly 148 miles an hour, which is pretty decent, to be honest. And which I guess is overall no surprise given the huge amount of power it's got, and the fact it only weighs 2,650 pounds, which is obviously not all that much at all for a car of this kind of level of power. So let's get to the track and see what the stats are before we get around it. So as you probably can tell, that the suspension is not the hardest of suspensions, or the toughest or anything like that. It's quite a soft suspension, which I feel is quite necessary, to be honest, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, we're at top end of A class, and yeah, there are the stats, which are all fairly good, to be honest, for the kind of vehicle that this is. The braking, the launch, the acceleration and the speed are all fairly solid. Handling could be obviously better, but considering what it is, it could also be a lot worse. So yeah, all fine with those stats, quite frankly, considering the kind of vehicle that this is. And to be honest, this is my favourite of the DeBerti vehicles that we've had on this game, or any other Forza game, to be honest. It's just so much more unique and a little bit more out there. But nonetheless, let's hear what the car sounds like, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, that supercharged whine pretty much dominates the experience with this car. The engine sounds good, but yeah, that supercharger is quite clearly the party piece of this vehicle. But yeah, it's still a quick car in a straight line, even when you're dealing with corners and the like. So you have to keep up the speed reasonably well. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 3.963 seconds. 0 to 100 is dealt with in 7.031 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 166 miles an hour, which, to be honest, isn't all that surprising when you can consider all of the power that it's got. What is surprising is how well this actually handles. It's yeah, it's really remarkable. It does have some understeer at times, especially when the air suspension is quite clearly, obviously, in its quite soft setting, so the front end does seem to lift up every now and again. But considering all of that power is going through only the rear wheels, you'd expect this to be a way more difficult car to drive, and it just isn't. It handles really nicely. The brakes are excellent as well, which they should be, quite frankly, given how little it actually weighs. But yeah, they actually are really rather good. And yeah, it's got good turning for the most part. It doesn't oversteer anywhere nearly as much as you might expect. And yeah, it's just a really fun car to drive. Not only do you have a car that looks the way it does, but you also have that supercharger whine and the fact that it's actually pretty good in terms of handling. So yeah, on the whole, this is a massive surprise. Was expecting it to be a bit of a gimmick, but quite frankly, it's not. And yeah, that is only a good thing, to be honest. Kind of tricks people into thinking it's going to be pretty useless in most areas, and yeah, it just isn't. So yeah, massive surprise and a really fun car to drive at that. So yeah, you can get this via the American Automotive Car Pack. You'll have already seen the Zinger 21C, I hope, already. That is part of this same car pack. There are two other vehicles that we will be looking at: the Celine S7 LM, I think it's called, and the I'm forgetting now. Oh yeah, the Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck, which yeah, I'm really looking forward to driving as well. So yeah, although to be honest, as much as I do like this version of this Econoline, I would also like the standard version in this game, because we've had the standard Ford Transit from the 60s in Forza Horizon 4, so I figured it would be kind of nice to have the American Ford equivalent in this game. But still, this is a good vehicle in its own right, and yeah, a really good you know, modified vehicle as far as modified vehicles go. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.